You know, whenever a public figure gets caught in a huge media storm, their official response becomes this absolutely critical piece of the puzzle. So today we're going to do a deep dive into the formal legal statement that was released on behalf of actor Kim Soo-hyun. We're going to break it down piece by piece to really understand the official counterstory to some very public and very serious claims.
So, this whole story has just been a whirlwind of allegations about photos, arguments over digital messages, and really conflicting timelines. And with all the noise and rumors flying around online, it's honestly tough to keep track of what's what. Which really brings us to the main question here. What does the official legal response actually say? Well, that's exactly what we're here to figure out.
Okay, so let's be super clear about this from the get-go. Everything, and I mean everything, we're about to go over comes straight from one place, that official statement put out on November 12th by Kim Soo-hyun's legal team. We're not here to guess or add to the rumors. Our job is to really just systematically unpack what this specific legal document has to say.
All right, let's get right into it. And we're starting with the part that, let's be honest, went absolutely viral and captured everyone's attention, the supposed photographic evidence. The statement wastes no time and tackles this head-on. So right here, you see the two sides clashing. On one side, you've got this explosive claim of a massive stash of photos. But on the other side, the legal team doesn't just say no, they go way further. The response is a total, categorical denial, saying that many photos couldn't possibly exist in the first place.
And this right here, this is where the language gets really interesting. It is naturally impossible. I mean, that is not a soft denial. That is a powerful, absolute statement. It's designed to just completely shut down any more talk about these thousands of photos, framing the entire idea as something that just defies logic.
So, after that really strong denial, the statement then gives some much-needed context for the photos that are real. First, it makes it clear they were taken when she was in her sophomore year of college, not when she was a minor. And it points out that even the family's own lawyer never made that claim. It also makes a point to say that those really viral, close proximity photos were already out in the public sphere before the family had even hired a lawyer.
All right, let's keep moving. So after tackling the visual evidence, the statement pivots to the next big thing, the digital trail. We're talking about all the alleged messages and letters that have become part of this public story. And you're going to see a familiar pattern here. There's this very specific claim about messages sent on KakaoTalk, a huge messaging app in Korea from 2016 and 2018. And what's the response? The legal team just calls it baseless and flatly states there is zero evidence to tie Kim Soo-hyun to any of those messages. From there, the statement just goes down the list, one by one, and picks apart the other so-called written evidence. The idea of letters from his military service? They're shot down for a pretty simple reason. A soldier's personal emails just don't get sent out like that. And some writings from 2017, they're dismissed as way too vague, with no specific person they were written to. So where does that leave us? Well, the legal team's conclusion is pretty blunt. None of this stuff has any real evidential value.
Okay, so they've dealt with the photos and the messages. Now the statement changes gears a bit. The goal now is to lay out a very clear, factual timeline to push back against what they're saying is a really confusing or even misleading story that's been told in public.
You know, a timeline can be a really powerful way to set the record straight. So they start back in September 2017, mentioning a trip to Europe was just a normal, planned trip. Then they jump forward to January 2022, saying she was personally handing out party invitations. But here's the real bombshell, the key point they make for January 8th. They directly counter the claim of a self-harm attempt by stating she was actually in the US getting her marriage registration done at that exact time.
And it doesn't stop there. The statement adds even more layers of context to this timeline. It gives the exact title of that party invitation from January 2022, and again, stresses she handed them out herself. But honestly, the most critical piece of information here is the clarification that the family itself never actually claimed Kim Soo-hyun was the cause of the distress that ultimately led to her death. That's a huge point, separating what the family actually believes from all the public speculation. All right, we're now at the final part of this official statement, and here they wrap things up by tackling two last things, a financial issue and a pretty direct shot at another party they claim is spreading bad information. So this number, 70 million Korean won, which is about 50,000 US dollars, is a really big deal in this final section. The statement acknowledges there was a debt owed to Kim Sae-ron and that Kim Soo-hyun's agency took care of it back in March of 2024.
But the context here is absolutely key.
The legal team is incredibly specific, saying the agency took care of this debt without expectation of repayment. And that wording is so important because it tries to frame this whole thing not as some messy loan or ongoing financial issue, but as a final, clean resolution.
And to wrap it all up, the statement takes aim at a specific online group they call Jiros. They basically accuse this group of being the source for all the false statements and fabricated letters. And they hit them hard for pinning the blame on the actor for her death. And, once again, they forcefully state that this story does not reflect the actual position of the family.
So now that we've gone through this entire legal document point by point, from the photo denials to the timeline clarifications, it kind of leaves us with this bigger question, right? I mean, in this day and age where stories go viral in seconds, how does a carefully crafted, formal statement like this one even begin to cut through all that noise and actually change people's minds? It's definitely something to think about.